Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. That is my good friend, Stephen Howson. This is a review. Manchester United beating Newcastle at Old Trafford 1-0. Steve, we needed a win. We got a win. Let's get straight into it. What did you make of the performance?
Game of two halves, our kid. If you can be as cliche as that on a Saturday morning. It was very good in the first half and very bad in the second half, and we got away with it. You know, they had 13 shots in the second half. If they could finish, they'd have clarted us.
Yeah, the big sort of talking point was the back four. He mentioned about adapting, about changing, about learning before the game. Was it a bit of a no-brainer for you? I know you've been calling for a back four. I know we've had back fours in the games before, but to start with a back four, to talk about it, was that something where you're like, finally, this is what he should have been doing ages ago?
No, not necessarily. No, I don't fundamentally hate the three at the back. My issue is that it doesn't get the best out of our midfield. Like, I think we've got Casemiro, Mainu, Bruno, or even Ugarte, Casemiro, Bruno, or like our midfield suits a midfield three. There's no naturals in a two that we play, so it kind of feels like we weaken ourselves by doing that. And I almost think the first half kind of demonstrated that quite well in terms of like we were so solid through the middle. Newcastle couldn't have anything for us in the first half. We were front foot aggressive. We were pressing. We was taking the ball off them. And when they attacked, they didn't really get anywhere behind us or come through us. And that's the major issue we have with the 3-4-3. It's not the fact that it's a three. It's the fact that the way we played the three was so open. You look at what Crystal Palace do. They're not. Because they've got players who are more naturally suited to playing in that double pivot in there. So, I'm not married to a 4 or a 3. I'm married to United looking good and winning games. Now, we did start with a 4. And like I said, in the first half, it was good and it was working and it was effective. And seeing Lisandro Martinez back in there, dictating, organising, punching the ball forward from defence, fantastic. The issue was in the second half. It wasn't a 4. It wasn't a 3. It wasn't a 5. It was a bloody 6. We had just everybody back. And I know there's no wingers on the... No, okay, you got Shea Lacey, but you don't have any first choice wingers on the bench. Your only attacking option is Joshua Zirkzee. And honestly, it'd have been better putting your mate on, the assistant, rather than putting Zirkzee on. He did nothing. Like, I just don't understand why we changed from dominating the ball. Okay, not fully dominating the ball, but the way we played in the first half, why do we have to do it again? Because all I was watching was a rewrite of the script for the Bournemouth game where we threw it away.
It was a tough watch in that second half. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Great goal in the first half by Patrick Dorgu, by the way, who I thought, Ballon d'Or.
Well, that's the sort of goal you score on a playground, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't score them in real matches.
I think after the game, he said he'd been working on his finishing. I think Aidan Heaven was stood next to him, started laughing or stifling a laugh. So you can make of that what you will. No, Dorgu, very good in that first half. Great finish. Aidan Heaven was magnificent throughout, and Arsenal gave us an absolute gem there. Thanks for that. The second half was a tough watch, though, and he made some changes. I think the Mason Mount one was enforced. He had to do it. The Casemiro one, I'm not sure what on there. I don't know if you know more than I do, but Casemiro looked a bit miffed when he was getting subbed.
People are saying, Casemiro's old. We've got another game on Tuesday. Okay, we had a week off last week. And Tuesday don't matter if you don't win against Newcastle. See this game. And by the way, we were so camped in our own half. Like, think about the game state that's happening. He ain't doing mileage because all we're doing is sitting on the edge of our box. We weren't pressing at all second half. That's how you know it was managerial orders, because we've gone from pressing and stepping up to the halfway line to sitting on the edge of our box and nobody pressing. So Casemiro's not got a lot to do for that last half an hour. And what's Casemiro good at? Heading the bleeding ball. And all we did was give free kicks and corners and see crosses coming into the box. And you took off the best guy at dealing with that off for half an hour. Another organizer, someone that's been in big game scenarios that can help you see a game out. I want to see Jack Fletcher succeed at Manchester United. But did he even actually bring him on? Because he had no opportunity to do anything. This is a This is an attacking midfielder, and you just asked him to try and replicate what Casemiro did. It's madness. You know, and they, even more, you take off Shaw and Martinez for 4 minutes. I know there ended up being 7 minutes injury time, but like, you don't know that at the time that you're taking him off. There's 86 on the clock, and you take Lisandro Martinez off. All we're doing is camping in. You need an organizer in there. Like the subs, I thought was insane, genuinely insane.
No, the particularly the defensive ones towards the end, I get that, because I understand that there's this big thing with Martinez. You've got to manage his minutes, right? I get that, and I've been a big advocate for that, because I don't want us to rush him back like we did a couple of seasons ago where he wasn't right. But 4 minutes or 11 minutes overall, how much of the difference is that making? I don't want to be negative, but let's be real. Like, that was a gamble, and an unnecessary gamble, to be honest with you. So I don't really understand that one. I think, like you said, I thought Martinez was amazing last night. I think the only reason he didn't get player of the match was because Aiden Heaven was equally as amazing, if not a little bit better.
I actually think he helps. You know, look, Heaven had a really bad game against Bournemouth.
Yeah,
he was poor against Bournemouth, and you know, he's got Luke Shaw, who doesn't really talk on one side of him, and he had Lenny Yoro, who's still young and himself, doesn't really talk on the other side of him. He put Lisandro Martinez next to him, and he levels. Like, there's no coincidence there. You know, that's what a good defender does. They organise and make the defence around them better, and that's what Lisandro Martinez did. Yeah, all credit to Aiden Heaven, because he won his battles. He was composed on the ball. That's not Lisandro Martinez doing that. But the other side of his game, where he didn't quite know where to go and when to do against Bournemouth, he got those decisions absolutely correct against Newcastle, and I think Lisandro Martinez gets a little bit of credit for that. I think.
Couldn't agree more. I think it almost, not by everyone, almost goes under the radar just how important Lisandro Martinez is. I think, like you said there, the organising, you watch him, you're at the game, you watch him, he never shuts up. He's always in people's ears. He's always sort of G'ing people up, and he knows when to G someone up, put an arm around him, or just a bit of organisation. He gets a crowd going as well. Yeah. He flies into things. He's strong. You don't get bullied.
Well, the amount of times that you see him pointing at his head and saying something to someone. There was a moment where there was a tiny little break in play, first half, and Luke Shaw was in the wrong place, and he turns round, and it's not a bollocking in like the Roy Keane, let's take this outside sort of thingy, but it was like quite forceful move out of the way, and then he said something to Casemiro. Casemiro looked around over his shoulder, and he moved him about half a meter. But like, he was very specific in where he wanted everyone else around him, and you think that's leadership. Someone else might have just gone. Lenny Yoro, as big of a future as I think Lenny Yoro's got, he's not forcefully moving Luke Shaw in the same manner, nor is he telling Casemiro to move 50 centimetres. Like, he's not doing that. But that's defending. That's what you have to do to defend the space around you. And that's what Lisandro's fantastic at.
No, he really is. Me and you were talking off camera, and you mentioned the fact that whilst it was a good result and we needed it, there were some criticisms, some valid criticisms of the manager, some of his tactics. And yet people sort of don't like that. When you criticise Ruben Amorim in a minute, I've noticed it a lot on Paddock, whenever we sort of question things or we're not unhappy about certain things. And I get, look, people want to back the manager and defend the manager, and we've all done it. We've, I've stood there chanting his name or whatever. But it does seem to be this element that if you criticise him in a minute, people are just sort of losing their minds in it, especially after a win. And I think you can have a win and you can have a good result and still question certain elements about it, because I think there were certain elements last night that you go, okay, we got a result, we needed it, everyone fought, which I love. There was a real battle there. The players certainly haven't down tools or anything like that. But also, you looked at some of the decisions, you go, you got away with it there a little bit.
Massively so. And here's the thing I don't get, mate, right? For the decade and a bit more that we've been doing social media, Manchester United content, none of us have changed, right? We've got a little bit older, a little bit grayer, but none of us have changed. We say what we see, and we analyse the game in the manner that we see it, yeah? And I don't think, maybe our expectations have changed. I don't think that anything else has changed. I think, we probably thought we would be a little bit better than we are. But I think the way that we discuss and talk about the game has never changed. I think we lean onto the side of support over anything else.
100%.
But we often get accused of toxic positivity. Like, we often get accused of being paid by the club because we refuse to just demand the manager get sacked every 5 minutes. The problem is, I think so much online content exists in the extremes. It's either extremely on the left, extremely on the right. And I actually think that we're pretty much down the middle in terms of like, we want us to do well, but if it ain't good, I'm not going to pretend it's not good. And if it ain't as bad as you're trying to make it out, I'm not going to agree with you that it's like this is absolutely catastrophic. We're going to exist in the middle like we always have. But what winds me up the most is where people go, a win's a win, move on. Why did you click on a match review if a win is a win? Right? If a win is a win, why did you click on to see what anyone else has to say? Watch the highlights and carry on with your day, right?
Yeah,
if a win is a win, and that's all that matters, why are you here? Because this is what we do. Win, lose, or draw, we talk about the result, and we talk about the performance, and we talk about what we want to see in the next game. That is our jobs. That is what we do. So if you don't want to see us analyse wins, and you don't want to see us analyse losses, don't click on the fucking video, you fuckwit. How about that?
Well, that's the title sorted. Don't click on the video, you fuckwit. That's the title and thumbnail. No, I agree. Look, you have to analyse wins, draws, and losses. I know that's the most obvious thing that anyone's ever said, but you do. You analyse them, you look at them. That's what we do. You review them. You say what went well, what worked, and what didn't. And there was a lot that went well last night. Martinez, Aiden Heaven, Dorgu in that first half in particular, a nice clean sheet for Senna Le Mans. And there were certain things that you go, maybe, got away with it a little bit there. I just hope that this manager learns, because he spoke about learning. Everyone lost their mind when he spoke about it the other day, saying like, I've learned a lot. But I want a Manchester United manager to learn. I do, and I hope he does. I hope he sees things that works and doesn't.
Try and play the same cards that he played against Bournemouth at halftime. Like 2 games where we've been, like, literally the first 25 minutes against Bournemouth. You can go and find my tweet. I was like, this is the best 25 minutes of football I've seen under Ruben Amorim. An hour later, it was the worst performance I'd seen under Amorim. Like, that's not me being bipolar or schizophrenic. That's literally the manager changed something, and we went from looking so good to so bad. And guess what? The exact same thing happened last night. The exact same thing happened. So I hope he carries on learning, but he needs to carry on and learn a little bit quicker. Because, yes, we got a win, but they had 3 shots in the first half and they had 13 in the second half. Don't tell me I shouldn't be annoyed about that. If it's not for their shit finishing, we lose the game. And then everybody that was like, hey, we won. Yeah, but we nearly didn't. That's the point. And a lot of the reasons why we didn't weren't because, tell you what, keeper had a bad game today, or defence just weren't at it, or do you know what, we created loads of chances, we just didn't bury them. No, we got worse with every substitution that he made. Like, every substitution made us worse and worse and worse. Like, as a manager, that's literally the opposite of your job. You're supposed to see the things that aren't working and tweak them to make them better. That's your job. Not see that it's going absolutely brilliantly and go, I bet I could fuck this up.
Yeah, you have to acknowledge this. You have to, otherwise you're just gonna be doomed to make similar failures.
We won last week and we've lost today, and you're like, yeah, the warning signs were there.
Yeah. You got to learn from these things.
Genuinely,
go on.
The frustration is that we're level on points with Chelsea and the champions, and we've thrown away about 10 points. Like, we've literally had winning games right there in our hand and gone, nah, fuck that. Don't want to win. We shouldn't even be sitting here going, could United make top 4? We might need to go on a run. No, we should be like, of course we're making top 4. Are you mad? And we've not even been that good. That's the annoyance, is that I see the potential, and the gap between our potential and where we are frustrates me.
No, I hear that, man, because you look at the amount of games we're leading against sides that are beatable: Spurs, Forest, Bournemouth, West Ham. Everton. These are winnable. Yeah.
How many points is that we've just rattled off?
There you go. Probably 10. These are all winnable games against teams that are beatable. So I understand that. And I understand that you look at it last night and you go, yes, it's a win, and that's what we needed. Massively needed that win. But there's also flaws there where you go, look, you've got to be careful here, because if you carry on doing these things, you're going to come unstuck. And I think you have to acknowledge that. And I think you'd have to, if you don't. Just before I let you go, though, I don't want to end on a downer. One thing that did make me laugh, show me a bit of irony. Eddie Howe moaning about time wasting. Eddie Howe having a bit of a whinge. I mean, mate, I've never. I thought it was someone was joking when I saw the quote when I got home. I went, hey, that's like me moaning about people being bald.
The least amount of ball in play time ever.
Like, I remember watching, was it last season or season before, when it was like someone got injured off the pitch and Callum Wilson literally dragged them back onto the pitch to waste a bit of time. Like the worst culprits, I think, in the league for it, and they're moaning about time wasting. Honestly,
and you got 7 minutes of injury time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Know what.
There was no goals. There was no like massively long VAR or anything like that. It was just a normal game, and then they pulled out 7 minutes, and you're still whinging. And Anthony Taylor wound me up because he kept doing that thing, when he was signalling about the time and the seconds. He was counting the seconds, and obviously, I think was it Luke Shaw taking he's on a throw in.
By the way, was that the first yellow card of the game? Because that was insane with some of the tackles that was going in. Like, how did that one on Cunha not get a card?
Mate, the one where he was off the pitch, almost off the pitch. Yeah, it was a joke, mate. Anthony Taylor's got this thing, right? Because he's from Alta, where he has to prove that he's not a United fan, that he's not biased. And then somehow, even though he does... Sorry?
He
does Gary Neville it. You're right. It's like, I'm going to overcook it to show how much of a non-United fan I am. And then at the end of it all, people still moan and go, oh, look, he's biased towards United. I think, what game were you watching, man? We didn't get anything.
You can't watch his refereeing of Manchester United and think he's a United fan. You watch his games and you think, I think Manchester United as an institution must have molested him as a child, because there's no way that you referee our games and think that that's of any level of sense or fairness. Like, it is consistently anti-United. Like, I did see a tweet from someone like, oh, this makes sense. Anthony Taylor's from Alta. Don't tell me he's not a United fan. What? I'll tell you he's not a United fan. Watch our games. They were complaining that they had Roy Keane and Gary Neville, and look at this bias. Against United, yeah, you're right. Jamie Carragher's probably the most pro-United person on that fucking panel.
Honestly, it's mental. No, you're not wrong. It winds me up, man. I want Gary Neville to be biased towards United. He played for us. He was our captain for God knows how many years. He was there since he was about 8 till he was about 35. Just be biased. People get it. You don't have to be balanced. You're not running for mayor yet.
Jamie Carragher doesn't even pretend to not be biased towards Liverpool.
No. He celebrates goals. He screams.
Goes, oh, I can hear it. Honestly, has Jamie Carragher ever, has Gary Neville ever celebrated a Manchester United goal?
I don't think so. I mean, he might have. I can't recall it.
When he was wearing the shirt.
Yeah, when he was wearing the shirt, he went off his head and ran to the Scousers and kissed the badge and all that. I mean, I'm not expecting him to do that when he's on comms. I mean, he can do if he wants, but just a little bit of something, Gary. Come on, son. So, I mean, you don't have to pretend that you don't hate Liverpool. We all know you do. You don't have to pretend that you respect Manchester City. We all know you don't. You don't have to pretend that you admire Arsenal. We know you don't. So just be honest with it. No one's buying it. Seriously. Right, on that bombshell, I'm going to let you get on with the rest of your Christmas. Thanks for that, Steve. Go and check out Steve on all his other channels. No Paddock game this weekend, but you're back next weekend with that, aren't you? So go and check him out. Check out his... Make or break month, eh? Sounds like Manchester United. That's been Stephen Howson. I've been Jay Martin. This has been a review. Manchester United beating Newcastle 1-0. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.